with me starting like almost a decade ago, they were really, really ruthless. Like if you did not answer the phone with Yemaseyo, like the native Korean language, they would literally hang up on you.
The myth is she just stalling so she could charge you. No, I'm trying to keep your hair on your head.
If I have to turn my head like this to read your packaging, I'm not gonna buy it.
When you come in, stop coming in and telling us how much to sell our stuff for.
Everyone says their hair is 4C because they're affiliated with difficulty.
The U.S. has terrible regulations for cosmetics. Black women historically have these issues with fibroids and uterine problems, and we're trusting you, and now you're putting chemicals in it?
We decided to create a show that would give consumers that behind the scenes of what Black-owned beauty supply store owners go through, what Black-owned brands, Black-owned salons go through, to have a conversation with experts in the field, helping Black entrepreneurs break into the beauty supply industry. Let's jump into the world of Black beauty. I'm your host, Janice Fredericks-Spell, the retail genius, and I am here with the beautiful Melody Bockelman, which I'm so excited about our next conversation.
Me too.
Because we are talking about being inclusive in this Black hair care industry. So I want to talk a little bit about what inclusion looks like right now. And one major brand that we all know so well is Fenty Beauty. And she completely changed the standard of inclusion, especially when it comes to our darker skin tones.
Yeah, so I love this conversation because what Rihanna and Fenty did for the industry was game changing. And it's unfortunate it didn't happen until 2018, but the moment she came out with 40 shades that went from dark to light, every other brand started saying, oh shoot, we missed a category. They weren't really excited about inclusive, they missed a money opportunity. We'll talk about that separate. But on the same hand to that, she changed the conversation in the beauty space, and that changed the industry, which I'm always really grateful for her to her for doing that as well.
So how do you feel about like the larger mainstream conversation now around what Fenty pioneered with having these additional shades of color? How do you feel about these bigger brands who have ignored practically our darker skin tones for all of these decades?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's ingenuous, really. I honestly feel like they just saw the opportunity and realized that there's brown and Black people who actually need skin, products, and we need to jump on
it, right.
And also, we don't want to be seen as the bad guy. Right. And not in inclusive, but they have never catered to us. Like it wasn't until 2017, 2018 when Fenty opened up the stores with all these different shades that they were like, oh, we can do that too.
We can do that too.
But let's be honest. Yeah, there's money in it, right? But there's not necessarily skill in it. And that's the difference is because how many times do we go to like a CoverGirl or a L'Oreal or whatever, and the formulation doesn't actually work on our skin. They didn't actually do the testing. They took the same base that they used for the lightest, fairest skin to the darkest one. Whereas when you look at someone like Fenty or Uoma Beauty, who actually every shade is made for that shade,
right?
That's a game changer. And so I feel like the mainstream brands just saw the money opportunity, but they weren't really there to actually serve the customers, the brown and Black customers.
So do you think that's like a misconception that consumers have?
Huge. And
I feel like especially with like the Kylie Jenner brands where we feel like, oh, she's like including us, but like maybe not.
No, not at all. She just sees the opportunity and now it's the standard. It's almost like Fenty decided that, okay, we're all going to be inclusive, so we have to do it. It's almost like the equivalent would be like, oh, now everything's vegan.
Right.
But it's not really. You know what I mean? It's not authentic. It's like greenwashing, but for inclusive colors, basically.
Right. And how do you feel like that translated into like the marketing that we see now?
Well, now we see every brand has a hand up that's brown with all the different shades on it, and all their models have changed, which is great for the models, but it's still not real.
Yeah, it's still not genuine.
It's still not genuine, and the formulas don't really even work. They still don't work. They make you look ashy. They make you look orange. They're still not developed for us.
Wow.
And that's what I really appreciate about Fenty, and I appreciate about Uoma or Juvia's Place, is that they actually took the time to formulate products that work for us. So, I mean, it's great. The conversation changed. It's late. I want to say it's way too late. Yeah, way too late. But I'm glad it's happening.
So for someone who's watching that has like a smaller brand and they're like, yeah, I want to be inclusive as well, but obviously I may not be able to afford like 40 different shades out the gate. What would you suggest to them inclusive, or what could potentially inclusive look like to a smaller brand?
And honestly, I think you have to be honest with yourself about who you really want to serve. So if you're a founder of color, then you probably want to serve people of color. I would stay within the shades that make sense for your audience. I wouldn't try to be a Fenty because, Fenty is backed by a huge marketing firm.
Right.
They're backed by deep pockets and they have the ability. So you really want to kind of narrow your focus until your brand gets traction in the marketplace or bigger investments, and then expand. I don't really think it's small brands' responsibilities to be as inclusive as Fenty's is, or L'Oreal, or P&G, or Unilever, or any of those kind of brands.
And I want you to speak a little bit more about the financial backing that that she has, because that's real, and I don't think everyone really realizes that there was a big company backing her, and that's how she was able to get into the Sephora store.
Yeah, so Rihanna made music. She wasn't sitting there in the chemistry lab with these, with the chemists and the focus groups. Rihanna was making music and being famous, and yes, she's very active in it, but it doesn't mean that, she, like a small founder whose blood, sweat, tears is going into a brand. It's a totally different experience. So Rihanna partnered with Louis Vuitton, marketing agency. They come out, they basically brought the brand to market for her, partnering with her brand. Of course, I'm sure she had input in there. I wasn't there to verify, but she still had somebody with like a team of hundreds of thousands of people and millions of dollars to bring a market access. How about the relationship with Sephora? How many of us can walk in and be like, hey, Sephora, we're going to not only put our products on the shelves, but you're going to play my music all the time.
Right.
I mean, that's what happened, right? And so it's a different world, and I think small brand owners need to be realistic, right? If we're running a race, she's an Olympian, and we're still in high school track. And that's okay. It doesn't mean you won't make money. It doesn't mean you won't be successful. You just got to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges, and those are not the same things.
Right.
And even, I mean, if you want to go to like the Kardashians brands, they're not in the labs formulating, they're hiring teams.
So we saw the explosion with, these companies rushing to be supportive of the Black Lives Matter movement and wanting to be inclusive, right? And having all of these diversity initiatives, from staffing to all of the things. Do you feel like that had an impact on the brands as well?
I mean, initially during the BLM movement, it was fantastic for Black-owned brands. They got access to money, they got access to mentorship, they got access to press. But as soon as we all kind of started going outside and the BLM movement died down, it went back to the same old, same old. And it's really disappointing considering how much progress we could have potentially made in the beauty space. It's what I think Black-owned brands don't have access to are the relationships that happen in the beauty space. And it's really unfortunate because we have a lot of great creators and a lot of great artists and a lot of great brand owners who only get seen when there's controversy.
Wow.
Yeah, not talent.
And how do you feel like we can circumvent that or overcome it?
We're filming, right? Sorry, let me calm down. My Howardness is coming out. I really feel like what the Black-owned brand owners need more than anything, more than mentorship, more than relationship, is money and companies that want to actually invest, like seeing them as investment companies. And there's a lot of brands that are on the marketplace that are actually owned by investment companies that hold ownership in them. So it's seeing a brand that's starting and saying, what, I see potential in you. I'm going to grow up with you and mentor you through it, and not just mentor you, but I'm going to actually financially support you. I'm going to help you with the marketing. I'm going to help you get to market, and not also, this is really important, not leave them with 1% ownership, but treating them as a partner.
Wow. So where do we go from here? What does the future of inclusion look like in the beauty space?
I think that there's going to be progress. I really do. I'm very hopeful for a lot of Black-owned brands and brown-owned brands that there's going to be progress. We see the retailers like 13 Loom. They're not playing small. They're playing bigger. They had big investors like Puffy invested in them. So they're able to bring other brands alongside of them. I think that there's going to continue to be a grassroots movement, which I love. The consumers and the customers, and you guys that are consumers out here watching, make sure you're supporting, because that's what, builds the foundation for them. Yeah, support's huge. I also think that we're going to see some shifts and some new opportunity areas open up, because the new conversation is not only Black and brown, but now it's gender. And I think inclusive is going to be a bigger conversation that includes gender neutral products and, let's just say period products for women that are non-binary or people that are non-binary. I think that we're just going to constantly see people demand respect and rights and products that are made for them in the beauty space.
Thank you, Melody, so much for coming on and sharing your expertise. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.
The Combo, your home for conversations on Black entrepreneurship and wealth, available on your favorite platforms.